Before I get into today's analysis, I'd just like to remind you that our latest news subscription on pureelliottwave.com is daily gold analysis. And as you can see from this GIF on our homepage here, it's been remarkably accurate for several weeks now. Gold price has been falling, and that is exactly what both of our Elliott wave counts, bullish and bearish, have been expecting. So if you want accurate, high-quality Elliott wave analysis to help you in your investing and trading in the gold spot market, head on over to our website. Link is in the description box below. Good morning, everybody. Oh, actually, good afternoon now, only just. This is your free daily update for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP, and I'm going to make it quite short today because I don't like repeating myself. For Bitcoin, I am still expecting more downward movement. The last few sessions still look like a consolidation within an ongoing downward trend. ADX tells us there's a downward trend. RSI is oversold, but we don't yet have bullish divergence. I know you might argue with me on that one. I'll get to that in a moment. We do have yesterday's completed candlestick, a hammer pattern, which is a bullish reversal pattern. I would want to see it followed through by a decent upward session for Wednesday, 23rd of August, in order to have confidence in that. The volume profile remains bearish. Stronger sessions are on downward sessions. Upward sessions have very weak and declining volume and weak and declining range. The last signal from on-balance volume was very strongly bearish. That may have been resolved. On-balance volume is making new lows prior to price, but price hasn't formed a pivot, so I wouldn't want to consider this divergence, and I don't like to use on-balance volume with divergence anyway. I'd rather use RSI. ADX still tells us there is a strong downward trend, which is not extreme. There is plenty of room to go before this trend is extreme and in danger of ending. Now, the close for price on this session, 26,049.84, and the close for price here, 26,041.29. Price is closed lower, RSI is higher. But I am not going to consider this bullish divergence because on this session we have not seen a pivot form. This is what I mean by a pivot. Here is a pivot. Downward, upward. This is a pivot. Here's a pivot. Here's another pivot. Here's another pivot. We have not seen a pivot form. I have learned in my experience over the years, if you want to consider divergence, whether it be bearish or bullish, between price and RSI and price and money flow index, which is the other one I like to use, you need to wait for a pivot to develop in price before you consider that divergence. If you do not wait for the pivot, then quite often that divergence will simply disappear and price will continue in the old direction. In order to avoid those instances of divergence not accurately predicting a change for price, wait for the pivot to form. And so my conclusion for Bitcoin is more downward movement. I expect it to stop at 19,500, but if I'm wrong about that, final 18,500. My wave count for Ethereum is very bullish. Cycle 1, cycle 2, primary 1, primary 2, primary 3 within cycle 3. This is an extremely bullish Elliott wave count for Ethereum. You can't see all the detail here. This is a monthly chart, but on the daily chart I have done a full Elliott wave count right down to the start of Ethereum's price history, and I've checked all of the subdivisions and it all fits beautifully. On the weekly chart, here is primary 2. I have minor 1, minor 2, minute 1, minute 2. I am expecting minute 2 to find support at the lower edge of this trend line, drawn from this low to this low. This is the low in week beginning 5th of June 2022, and this is the low week beginning 20th of November 2022. Here it is on the daily chart. I'm expecting one more final thrust downward for sub-minuet 5 of minuet C of minute wave 2 to find support at this trend line. If that trend line is overshot, then I'll look for the logarithmic function of the 0.618 Fibonacci ratio. Our target for support, 1397.59. Technicals for Ethereum, there is no evidence of a low having formed here. This looks like a consolidation within an ongoing downward trend. I've drawn a trend channel on this technical chart from this low to this low, put a parallel copy. I drew it from this high to this high and pushed a parallel copy down to sit on these lows. And it's providing resistance for the last few days. Now price looks like it may be moving down in a way. Next support, 1360. The volume profile for Ethereum also remains bearish. Stronger sessions are downward sessions. Upward sessions have weak range and weak volume. This is completely unconvincing for the start of a new upward trend. The last signal from on-balance volume, a break below the support line. Not particularly strong because it only has 1, 2, 3 tests and a little bit of a slope and not too long held. But Ethereum on-balance volume broke below here and it's moved substantially lower, the result of that bearish signal could very well now be resolved. So it's predicted downward movement happened. It may not be predicting any further downward movement. We need to wait for a new range for Ethereum's on-balance volume to develop, draw new support and resistance lines, and wait for a next breakout. We can't do that yet because it's not forming a new range. On-balance volume is moving lower. The close here 1634.2, the close here 1661. So price is closed lower. On-balance volume is also lower. Even if you're not going to wait for the pivot, there's no divergence there. ADX still tells us there's a downward trend. It's only now just above 40, so considered now extreme, but not nearly as extreme as it can get for this market. But it is moving into extreme territory now, and so that would tell us that the low is more likely to come sooner rather than later, and that fits with the Elliott wave count and support at that base channel, that trend line on my daily chart that expects price to find support at that line. RSI is oversold. There's no pivot formed for price, so even if there were divergence, I would not count it yet. Money flow reached oversold is back into neutral territory. With ADX nearing extreme, money flow and RSI having reached oversold, the low is likely to come sooner rather than later. This look from technicals fits beautifully the Elliott wave count now that expects one final low for Ethereum. My Elliott wave count for XRP also very bullish. Cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3, subdividing as an impulse with primary 1, primary 2, primary 3 within cycle 3 in its very early stages, showing a little bit of a nice curve up though. XRP has a slightly better look for its chart. On the weekly chart, here's primary 1, primary 2, minor 1, minor 2, minor 1, a leading expanding diagonal, or leading diagonals in first wave positions are commonly followed by relatively deep second waves. Let's expect minor 2 to reach a normal depth 0.40954, where it would be 80% the depth of minor 1, to 0.34447, where it would be 90% the depth of minor 1. Minor 2 may not move beyond the start of 1 below 0.2794. I do not expect that low to be taken out for XRP. So I'm changing my analysis for XRP very slightly. I'm a little bit more confident now it's going to move a little bit lower. Yesterday I had a big question mark. So on the daily chart, I've changed my labeling of the second zigzag in this double for minor 2. So here is a double zigzag. The first zigzag in the double, labeled A, B, C, is complete. Minute wave W. The double is joined by a brief shallow 3 in the opposite direction labelled X. And then the second zigzag in the double, A, B, C, is expected to continue lower, and B finding resistance beautifully at the lower edge of this channel. Same lower edge of the channel providing resistance for the 20th of August, now moving down and slightly sideways. Look out for next support at 40 cents. And that is sitting beautifully within that range I've identified of an 80 to 90% pullback. So it looks like 40 cents might be a fairly likely place for XRP to find support in a few days to a week or two. The volume profile also for XRP is bearish. On-balance volume gave a bearish signal that could very well now be resolved. There is no new range, no new signal. ADX still tells us there's a downward trend for XRP. RSI reached oversold. There is no bullish divergence between these points, and price has not formed a pivot. So even if there were bullish divergence, I would not consider it at this stage. So no divergence yet to note for XRP. Likewise with money flow from here to here, there is some divergence from here to here. So I'll just add a green bullish divergence line there. I'll add a green bullish divergence line to price, but just so you know, it's actually the close of this session and the close of this session. So very, very obviously, price is closed lower. Money flow is higher, so there is some bullish divergence at this low. The only reason I'm drawing it from this low to this low is it's more visually intuitive. If I was going to do it correctly, it'd be this close to this close, and it just isn't going to look as good, okay? But I'm checking the closes of the accurate candlesticks. We do have bullish divergence between price and money flow. That was the one thing that led me to seriously question and suggest that this low could be intact. Also, day on day, there was a little bit of an increase in volume here. I would want to see 0.6650 taken out before I had confidence XRP has a low. Until that happens, I'm going to expect it to continue lower to 40 cents. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you again, as always, for your support and your engagement, and I'm really enjoying these videos, and I'll keep you updated every day. So subscribe if you want daily, high-quality technical analysis. I am a chartered market technician of over a decade, and I've been doing this for 15 years using Elliott Wave predominantly, but a deep range of technical analysis is that's what I'm trained to do. So this is where you're going to get it every day, 5 days a week for free.